Good evening. It's a Tuesday ticket. It's the Boise Bus, and I'm exhausted after watching that Turkey game there, Phil. That was mental. Quite an exciting tournament so far for
Aye.
for s- for, uh, for some countries anyway. So far.
Well, yeah. For some of it, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was an enjoyable one.
Yeah.
Georgia giving a good account of themselves, unlike our country who did not. But that'll change tomorrow. Mate.
Yes, of course. Well, welcome aboard the Boise Bus. Welcome to the show that never ends. Come in, come in. As usual, my Tuesday ticket team, of course, is Phil McGinley and the superstar himself, Regan. It's like to give you just the one name, Regan. We're going to get rid of Stevenson and it's just Regan. You're like Cher or Madonna. You're at that level of stardom now, Regan. So how you doing, mate? You doing all right?
I'm doing good. I'm looking forward to being on the bus again. Everybody's not seen me for a few months and up here twice in 2 nights on a row. So it's been good to be on.
I know, mate. Like I was saying when I came on there. When you came on, I feel like I'm gate crashing. Like this duo here. That's our Scottish national team correspondents for the Boise Bus, keeping us all up to date on what's happening in the Scotland camp and how the boys on tour are doing. Now we're on a bit earlier than our usual Tuesday ticket time slot, but you all know that because you have subscribed and hit that bell notification button, and you would have seen that we were going to be on at 7 o'clock tonight. So well done to all of you that have done that. For those of you that have turned up late and are now watching on repeat, hit that subscribe button and hit that bell, and you'll know that the Boise Bus is on its way. Because that's right, I'm talking about all that good stuff. So give us a like, give us a share, slag the hair. Boise Bus member for a small cost of $1.99. All our content is absolutely free. You're not getting anything extra. It's just your way of supporting the bus, and we appreciate you all for doing that. But of course, it's completely optional. You don't need to do it. It's just like I said, it's your way of supporting the bus. And of course, big shout out to our sponsors at highsports.com. Get on there, pick your pie, and when you get to the checkout, bus 1888 at the checkout to get 12.5% off your tasty pastry treats. Breathe. Now we've got a nice wee build up to the Portugal game. So rather than listening to the pundits on BBC or ITV or whatever channel they're on tonight, we can do some Celtic chat to keep you occupied.
All they do is talk about England anyway. Hey, let's cross over to the England camp and get an update from Jude Bellingham and all that stuff. So listen to us. But quite a good seamless link there, David, about Portugal, because I believe a Portuguese guy is on the agenda tonight. Quite appropriately.
Yes, absolutely. We're just going to get stuck into it because, as you all know, the Tuesday ticket is the new place for all the news, the gossip, the hearsay that of everything that's going on at Celtic Football Club. And that's right, our very own, well, he was our Portuguese star for a season there. He might be coming back, who knows. But it does appear that there seems to be a bit of a spanner in the works, Phil. Reports in Portugal suggest that Celtic are struggling to meet the 22-year-old Paulo Bernardo's wage demands at the Scottish champions' attempt to bring back the Benfica midfielder on a permanent deal following last season's loan spell. So the contract talks between Celtic and Bernardo have had a bit of a stumbling block. The two parties have been unable to come to an agreement on wages. Shock. Who didn't see that one coming? Dearie me, man. Bernardo is under contract at Benfica until 2027. So it's making negotiations harder for the Scottish champions. Another problem with the deal could be the transfer fee itself. So there's plenty to mull over there, Phil. What's your thoughts on the old Paulo Bernardo's wage demands? Are they really going to be that? Are they going to be that inflated? Is this just paper nonsense, or
it could very well be? I mean, I try and treat a lot of the things that come in the media. But there's a negative spin to it with Celtic. I always know that it's in media sometimes a wee bit of mischief here and there. I'm still pretty confident he'll be a Celtic player come the end of the window. Well, I say the end. I don't think it'll drag out all the way to the end, but I do think he will join us. Right now, I believe the player's still on holiday. We've had a few of these sagas over the last couple of years where players are away on the hollybobs, but when they come back, it all gets sorted. So I do think it will come to fruition and he will be a player. for Celtic next season. I think I said earlier on the Boys Bus chat as well. I mean, if it is haggling over wages and whatnot, and the boy's just pushing for a bit more, then if the boy backs himself and thinks he's, he believes in his ability, then fair play. All he's got to do is back up them when he goes out there. Because next season, we're still under the impression, of course, nothing's confirmed yet, but majority of us all firmly believe that Matt O'Reilly won't be here. So you've got to imagine if Paulo Bernardo is coming in, he would be looking at that spot in the midfield, and he will then be a mainstay in the midfield, and that's what he needs as a run of games, because we saw it in wee flashes last season where when he did get a wee consistent run, you started to see the best of him, but then he would drop out the team for one reason or another. So I think he would benefit from, being the main man in the middle of the park. So I think it will still happen. I'm not reading too much into it. I'm not hitting the panic button. I'm not hitting the anger button. Going out there and venting about the board and this and that and whatnot. I'm still quite zen about it all. So yeah, I'm still pretty confident he'll be a Celtic player come within a few weeks, I'll say.
Well, Regan, according to Record Portugal, Celtic want Bernardo to accept a lower wage or Benfica to reduce the asking price of the player from the initial agreed €7.5 million, £6 million. Bernardo, who's obviously spent last season on loan, he spent 2 seasons away on loan from Benfica, obviously with us and another team. He's made it clear that he wants to leave Benfica. Now, he made 33 appearances for us, and he scored 4 goals. That will include the Champions League games, I imagine. He also expressed a desire to return to Scotland in an interview in February, saying that the manager and I just want to keep things going well and improve a lot. Now, Regan, I'm bringing up Alex's comment. I started here. He's saying tell Bernardo to bolt, doesn't deserve much when he isn't proven. Now, that's the debate here, I think, Regan. Now, 33 appearances, 4 goals. Did he light up the league like we were hoping? No. Did he contribute? Yes. Now, my question, Regan, is the wage demands, whatever they are they the problem, or is it Celtic's wage structure that's the problem? Because I said in the group chat there, Regan, I mean, from Celtic's point of view, they might be going, well, hang on a minute, you didn't really contribute as much as you were kind of hoping that you would to demand these types of wages. But the argument is, well, Celtic's wage structure is a fair bit old school, a wee bit behind in the times to maybe modern day football. And what he's actually asking for wouldn't really be that big of a deal for a player of his level at any other league, any other competitive league.
Yeah. Especially him being the captain of his country as well. That's a guy that's got a reputation in his homeland, Portugal, who are well known for doing very good for football players. And I think in general, he's a very good player that we're signing here. I know people will say, well, he's no done much. Well, I'm telling you right now, if Bernardo is not able to score that goal against Rangers or that goal against Dundee when he scored, Celtic don't win the title last season. And don't forget that Bernardo, O'Reilly, and Iwata played when McGregor and Rio were both unavailable through injury for about 6 or 7 matches this season. And I don't know if you guys agree, but I found that a bit strange halfway through the season when Brendan would bring Bernardo in for Champions League matches, but then not play him in a home match against St Johnstone or something. So that was a little bit strange to me. But yeah, I think Bernardo is the kind of player that Celtic should be trying to buy. I definitely think he is, because he's got so much potential and he's also got room to improve as well.
I love Ian McIntosh's comment here. I mean, you can't argue with it. I refuse to condemn Celtic or Bernardo when I don't know the full details. I want him signed, though. I'm fully in agreement with Ian. I want him signed up. I don't particularly care what he's asking for. And like I said, I think it's pretty well documented that Celtic are a wee bit behind the times when it comes to what players of his level coming from a team like Benfica, what they can be paid at other clubs, And I think that's the biggest problem, because there's that whole argument of going, well, he can't be getting paid as much or any more than enter said player.
Yeah.
Like, no, you're right. But that said player should be on a far more better wage than what he's on as well. Because if we want to hold on to the likes of Matt O'Reilly, Theo Hatate, the Cameron Carter-Vickers, we a team like a good championship team, or even Ipswich Town that have just been promoted, now suddenly have far greater riches to pay a Cameron Carter-Vickers. Is he going to become astronomical amounts of money to him, or Bernardo? Probably not. But Celtic should be able to then throw a bone and say, like, we maybe not be able to match Premier League wages, but we can certainly match, these guys in terms of, as well as adding the chances of winning trophies and playing Champions League football. Do you know what I mean? I think that's what needs to be the problem. We need to get the wage structure needs to improve. I don't know what Bernardo's asking for, Regan, but I doubt it's astronomical amounts that any other competitive league at our level, if not better, would scoff at for a player of his ability and potential. Portuguese under 21 captain, we keep getting told.
Yeah, and I think that's why Brendan Rodgers, don't know if you guys agree, but I think that's where Brendan Rodgers needs to try and change the board's attitude this summer. That if the right player becomes available, I'm not saying astronomical money, but for Scottish Premier League standards, if Brendan Rodgers thinks that player can improve the team, and the board are thinking, oh no, do we or don't we? They need to back the manager, but also Brendan Rodgers needs to back himself and say, I need to go in here and be forefront with the board, because don't remember that this time last summer, I remember people talking about Scott McTominay and people like that. Everybody was getting excited thinking Brendan Rodgers has got his mojo back, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. But Brendan Rodgers just took what he was able to last summer. But what Brendan Rodgers needs to do is, what you speak about there, David, in terms of the wage structure, he needs to be the one that's driving that and saying, see, if you didn't spend $3 million a waste of money on Yang, you might be able to buy somebody for £7 million, or see if you didn't spend £1 million on Marco Tilio, or $2 million on Thiago Holm, who didn't play much at Celtic Park last year. It's all of these things where if you spend a little bit more, then you need to back it up with the wage packet as well.
I mean, but then Regan, I'm just playing devil's advocate. The board could easily just as easily turn around and say, well, if you want us to give what Bernardo wants, then you can't get Adam Idah as well, because we can't afford, but we can't afford to buy him as well, because we've spent too much of our wage bracket, our wage purse on Bernardo's wages, that we don't feel that he's, for a bit part player, is worth it. That would be their argument. But again, we don't know. We're totally speculating now. I mean, Phil, Alex, just because it's good debate, I want to bring him up. He says that he took a pay drop for his career to progress. He needs to suck it up and do that for a few years. But the problem with that, though, Alex, for me, is it's not like he's short of options. He could, I don't know what your job is, and I don't know what your options were, but I doubt you'll have had the same list of options that perhaps Bernardo will have if he decides to look elsewhere. He could progress his career in many decent competitive leagues. I'm sure teams in Italy would probably be quite interested in Bernardo. So he could say, well, I know, like Phil said, like you said, Phil, he knows his worth, or what he feels his worth is. So he's like, I'm not going to take that much of an insulting pay drop to progress my career. And I could go to Serie A and play at Bologna, who are also a Champions League football team this year, that probably will give him the wages that he wants, because they're they operate as a modern football club.
Yeah, it's interesting enough, there hasn't been any other names getting linked with the boy at the moment, so I don't know how much you read into that, but that can change really quickly. We've
got first refusal, though. You've got first refusal. Until we turn and say we don't want him.
Yeah.
Then there's no any other clubs are probably going to come sniffing.
Although by that token, there's the boy from Salzburg, where apparently we've been linked on before Salzburg had taken up the or not taken up the option. So you might hear of clubs that might be monitoring the situation, but nothing's come up. I say that can change in the drop of a hat. Agents can work their magic and get something sorted. You know what they're like. But yeah, I'm not. Ian McIntosh's comment was right. We're only just speculating at the moment. We don't know the full details, so there's no point in going in two-footed right now. I say I'm still pretty confident he will be a Celtic player come the end of all this. And yeah, say next season is a lot of it's going to just depend again on the O'Reilly situation. If O'Reilly isn't here, then I think Bernardo is going to be. I think we are going to see the best of Bernardo. I think he will be getting a lot more game time and whatnot, but. Yeah, he's shown in say the last season that what he can contribute to the team and whatnot. So I'm still to say I think he's just at the moment there's a bit of a stalemate, and it could just be newspapers stirring up a wee bit of mischief there, David. So
Totally.
Yeah. So I'm not too worried right this second at the moment about it.
Before we move on to the next topic, Steve-O has come in and basically said, open question, we aren't football power brokers, but what do you think he's worth per week? I'm not going to get into that, but why I brought up is it just today I had in my chair, and it's nowhere near the same level of dealings as we're talking about, but a director at Celtic Hearts was in today, and he was just talking about like how difficult it is to deal with players that do think that they're worth a wee bit more money, but he goes, it's the bigger problem is the agents. Just find dealing with agents can be a nightmare, and you don't know. Maybe Bernardo's agent Regan is like proper pushing to say, look, you could definitely squeeze Celtic out a wee bit more in terms of what they're offering here, and maybe that's all it is, and that little detail can be a massive stumbling block.
And as Roy Keane says, that's the agent's job. You know what I mean? That's their job to do that, and then. I think in terms of Bernardo, he's just trying to get a middle ground. I think Bernardo is happy in Glasgow. I think he's said that before somewhere. I think he said he's happy in Glasgow.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to be a difficult deal to do. It's not going to be the Jota deal where Celtic might haggle over a price. I just think once Bernardo is happy with what he's doing, then I don't think it'll be a deal that's going to lowball him and take all summer. I think once they find a middle ground, I think both parties will be happy, and Bernardo will be putting on that Celtic fit for one more season, I think.
Before we move on, Phil, you got anything else you want to say before we finish?
There was one more. There was a comment I saw earlier on that was from Thomas Burns here, just about has he really changed the board's attitude though? And when Regan was talking earlier, he mentioned this. We can only go by what has been presented to us in the opening, the media and so on. But of course, a year ago, Brendan Rodgers sat there at his press conference and said that he was happy with the structure and the transfer policy and whatnot. But of course, over the course of the season, he has kept on dropping little things about, wee nuggets about quality and whatnot. So in terms of that question, has he really changed the board's attitude, though? You'd like to think so. And over the next few weeks, hopefully we will see it. But going by what's been put out there so far, there definitely seems to be there is still a vibe that they're maybe not quite on the same page yet. I say a year ago he did. And again, it could just be because he was back in the door and he didn't want to ruffle any feathers, because let's be honest, he was walking on eggshells last year when he came back in. He's obviously sat there and said, I'm happy with the way everything is. But yeah, he kept dropping little hints as we went along. But yeah, we just need to hope that he has changed their ways, because it is very archaic the way they operate at times.
Well, I mean, a bit of evidence to suggest that maybe he's starting to get what he wants. It was made pretty clear that Adam Idah's loan deal was very much driven by Brendan Rodgers. It's him that wanted him, and they got him in. So perhaps that's a sign that he's maybe getting them to go and certainly in the right direction that he's hoping for. But Regan, Adam Idah has revealed that he remains totally in the dark over the chances of a Celtic return. Did you like that segue there, Regan? But the Republic of Ireland hitman Idah has no idea if the Canaries will do business. Asked if he wants to stay at Celtic, the 23-year-old said, I'm still at Norwich, and I have 4 years on my contract. They are my parent club, and I don't know what's going on. I spoke briefly to the new manager there about when he's going to come back. It's difficult at the start of the window as it's coming up to our summer holidays, and we are on internationals right now. I've never been in this situation before, and I don't know much about how it works. Well, Regan, I mean, there's not really much to play off of with those comments, but obviously the biggest highlight for me is the new manager, Regan. He's going to want to have a look at Adam Idah after obviously his impact that he had on loan at Celtic, considering the boy that they brought on loan to make way, Sidney Van Hooijdonk, who we obviously were also linked with, failed to score in 12 championship matches. So it's unlikely that Norwich are going to be interested in bringing him back to the club. So I'm sure the new manager won't have a look at him, Regan.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously people always say this, like, oh, well, Adam Idah's away, but see in these interviews that Adam Idah does with the press, he's never going to come in and go, yeah, I definitely want to go back to Celtic, because that's no fair on his club. His club are paying his wages, David.
Yep. So, we wouldn't be happy if it was the other way about, Regan, would we?
He's never going to say that. So I think in terms of Idah, I think in general, Brendan Rodgers wants him, and I think Brendan Rodgers probably told him that he wants him. But I think, like you said, because Norwich brought in the brand new manager, that probably changes the whole thing, because it probably takes longer into the window. It probably comes into, I don't know, I'd say maybe 2 or 3 days before the end of the window, because if you look at the England pre-season, the England pre-season usually goes on quite late, and you've got to remember that they're playing European Championships. So also Adam Idah just playing in a friendly for it as international team as well. So I don't think that he'll probably make his mind up until maybe, I'll say, August the 15th.
Very particular.
Yeah, fair enough. A very particular date to pick there, Regan.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd be concerned if we're waiting that long for a decision on Adam Idah. I wouldn't be surprised. Phil.
I just don't think he'll be able to make a judgment call, because all of these teams won't really be playing until probably the 29th of July or something like that. So
the English Championship will kick off I think they kick off on the same weekend as us. The English Premier League's usually a week or 2 weeks behind, I think it is. But the Championship, because they've got, 46 games they play in a season, a league season. They do kick off earlier than the English Premier League. They always do.
Why do we need to wait on the Norwich manager to make a decision of Regan? Because I don't think Matt O'Reilly, the transfer of Matt O'Reilly, will be decided on whether Brendan Rodgers decides that he wants to keep him or sell him. I mean, modern day football just doesn't seem to work that way anymore. If Adam Idah wants to move, why does he not push for the move? I mean, he's been at Norwich since he was a boy. He's never really got the opportunity. Really, I mean, I understand why they put these players out on loan to maybe see to get the opportunity when he comes back. But if he doesn't want it and he wants to come to Celtic, surely he has to just say to the manager, look, I respect that you're obviously wanting to keep me, or you want to really see what I'm all about. But with all due respect, I'd like to go to Celtic. Can we get this deal done? I don't want, and if Celtic really want him and Brendan Rodgers really want him, then maybe Celtic need to force Norwich's hand and offer them what they want. Because I'm sure the guys at the top of Norwich are sitting there going, right, well, if we can get 6 million or 8 million or whatever it is that they want for a boy that surpassed the requirements for a few years, then snap the hand off it and find a replacement as soon as possible. Like, I don't get this dragging the heels.
Yeah, I don't know much about the manager, but yeah, I do see a point that in terms of Norwich, they'll have an evaluation of the player, and then it's just up to whether Celtic meet that. I think if Celtic do meet that, we've spoken about it with Brendan Rodgers and certain people on the bus. I'm not being happy about managers going back to former players, but I'm sure this manager will say, if you can get some players off the wage bill to play devil's advocate, like Adam Idah, where he can bring his own striker in that he knows from past in Danish football, where he can say, well, I know this guy, then that's what he's going to do. So that is a possibility, David.
David Kelly comes in here, Phil, saying, and I agree with you, David.
Hmm.
If we want Idah, there isn't one excuse that holds any weight. If we want him, get the offer made. If Norwich reject it, get moving on to the next player. It's hard to argue with David Kelly there, and he likes to make sure he gets his points on in the comments for lots of debate. But I can't debate with him here. I'm fully on board with David Kelly.
Yeah, it's we've seen it happen in the past with previous managers chasing players for way too long than they needed to, and even when the player did end up signing, it was a bit of a disappointment. Marc-Antoine Fortuné being one of the best examples. When Tony came in, spent a month just chasing him when we could have been chasing some other targets, and he definitely wasn't worth the wait. But yeah, he's right. You know, we haven't got much time. There's obviously a football championship going on right now, which obviously causes a bit of a delay as well. So you want to just be getting on with your business, and if obviously Norwich's new manager is going to rightfully take a look at him, he'd be stupid not to. So it is all in their hands right now. I agree with what Regan says. I think Brendan will have definitely had a word with him. Obviously, when he was up here saying, "Look, we'll try and make this happen." Again, it says Norwich are going to be the ones that will decide that if they decide to sell, and we can meet the valuation, then hopefully we can get it all done pretty quickly. Because we definitely do need more. We keep on talking about the striker situation. If O's out the door, which looks like it's definitely happening now, we definitely need more than just 2 strikers for the season. Because once injuries and suspensions and whatnot is set in, to go for 2 strikers, well, the competitions we need to play in, we need one more. I think one more at least.
And especially because there's more matches now, Phil, in the Champions League format. The Football Manager, so
definitely.
So I think there's definitely need 3 or 4 strikers.
There's been a few other players linked. I'm sure they will come up in future episodes of Tuesday Ticket, but we don't really have any other names. I know Tommy Conway's name's been chucked about now since his debut for Scotland. But yeah, we didn't get much say on O. He's still at the club at the minute, but it's looking like Genk are going to get their man. Mad to think we could get a profit on him, because I think it's been a pretty lackluster. Moving over here, he's deleted all his social media that has anything to do with Celtic, so that tells you that the deal's probably done.
Yep.
Weird decision to do that. I mean, you just won some trophies here, mate. You're welcome. Weird one, but if we can get 4 million for him, well, then brilliant.
Yeah.
Great business.
The board are laughing all the way to the bank on that one, which they do on most deals, to be fair. But yeah, that I didn't see that coming in terms of the price. It's just no worked for him. One of the many we can add to the list of flops that we've signed over the years, paying that roughly 2 million price tag for strikers, filing alongside the Banguras of the world. You know, that's the type of player to sign to file him alongside. Just didn't work out for him.
Who's the Polish guy we signed?
Project. He was on loan for half a season, and Neil Lennon.
Project.
The project. But he was only on loan for half a season for Trabzonspor, but he barely got a sniff. And Morten Rasmussen, guys like that. In fact, Marc-Antoine Fortuné, who I just mentioned a few minutes ago.
Don't forget we Paddy Klamala, who played during COVID.
Oh, Klamala. Jeez, that's another one we can put him alongside as well. God.
Yeah, Paddy. He was another one that I was really hoping would do well, but it just didn't work out. Barry Smith comes in saying, "Get the boy from Bristol." That'll be Tommy Conway. Aberdeen, that'll be Miovski. And if Norwich playing hardball, we should just get them in now. Isn't it funny though, because we're talking about the players that the wages and the types of transfer fees that we want Celtic to be spending on players, but equally, if you were to turn and say sign a boy for Bristol City that scored 9 goals last season in Miovski from Aberdeen, that you could just hear the uproar. But I'm not. I would take both. I think they're probably better than than O, and Miovski's certainly better than O. I don't know about me, but another 21 striker that's he's definitely up and coming, doing well. I wouldn't say no, but it's just funny. The optics certainly would go totally against everything that we're all wanting Celtic to do in the summer. But hey, That's football fans for you. We're all fickle. Speaking of fickle, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about our Swiss stopper that is Siegrist. Yeah, he's a fickle one, isn't he? Like come here to sit on a bench and win a bunch of trophies, and he's giving it bit glicks in the Swiss papers about us. I mean, again, you're welcome, mate. Like you're absolute clown to come out with statements like that. So just pretty disrespectful, I think, considering we've literally been gift wrapped some titles that he contributed next to fuck all to. But you know, Benjamin Siegrist last night claimed that he has thrashed out an agreement with Celtic to let him leave on a free transfer with 2 years still left on his deal. Now, we paid nothing for him, so no bother. Former Dundee United goalkeeper 32 joined the Hoops on a 4-year deal in 2022 and was signed as a backup option to Joe Hart. The Swiss stopper was well aware that he wouldn't be first choice under Ange Postecoglou when he arrived at Parkhead, but he found himself now third in the pecking order behind Scott Bain, the preferred option in Hart's absence. Speaking to the Swiss outlet Blick, he has suggested that Rodgers has given the go-ahead to exit the club for free despite having 2 years left of his deal. The keeper has his future all mapped out as he has named the country he expects to retire in, which is apparently Australia, because he's got that the Australian TV star Brittany Hockley sound moving to the continent for work and to be closer to him. And then they'll both return to Australia and he'll hang up his gloves and they'll live happily ever after. But addressing his imminent Celtic exit, Siegrist insists when he leaves Parkhead, he will never come back. He said, after my last day at work, I'll leave as soon as possible. I'll never come back here. Well, don't let the door hit you on the way out, you numpty. I mean, what out? Like, again, like I said, you're fucking welcome, mate, because, you know, had he won anything before he came to Celtic?
No.
I know of, no.
Will he win anything now that he's leaving Celtic? Nah, I don't think so. So, like I said, you're welcome. Good riddance, if that's his attitude. I mean, like I said, listen, he probably backed himself, Phil, to get the number one shot when Hart left. But, I mean, he spent more time in France drinking rum, I think, and whiskey than he did ever on the football pitch.
Aye, so two competitive games he played for us overall, and I think the other appearance he had was there was a bonkers friendly that we played last summer against Yokohama. I think we lost 6-4 or something. Maeda scored a hat-trick. Siegrist came on in the second half. We were 3-2 up at half-time, and we lost 6-4. So, you know, draw your own conclusions on that one.
Definitely played in the Motherwell match. We played the League Cup.
Aye, Motherwell and Ross County in the League Cup were the only two games he played, and a friendly against Yokohama. As I say, 3-2 up and we lose 6-4. So, you know, do the maths on that one. I thought it would work out for him. I thought he was a great goalkeeper for Dundee United. I can remember in particular a very, very frustrating game we played against him in which Leela Bada had to score a 92nd minute winner at Celtic Park to beat them. Siegrist was excellent that day for Dundee United. We just couldn't find a way through until very, very, very late in the day. So you always felt that when you look at players outside the top two in Scotland, outside of Celtic and Rangers, it's like, who's a player that's doing a job at another team that would be a good fit, and we needed a goalkeeper at the time, and Siegrist was a solid shout because of what he was doing at Dundee United.
I mentioned him for you guys. I mentioned him.
I wanted him to.
Yeah.
I really thought he would do it. But...
And keep in mind that Dundee United get relegated to the next season when he wasn't their goalie. They had that infamous game where they get tanked off AZ Alkmaar, was it? It was like 7-0 or something, only like a couple of games into the season. And so they completely fell apart, conceding goals left, right and centre. So he was a huge part for them in that first season back up in the Premier League. So yeah, it was... it's just not worked out for him. I say whatever's happened behind the scenes, whatever has caused it. But it's interesting that he's obviously had a fallout with the previous manager, Ange Postecoglou, and then another manager comes in. He doesn't use him neither. So you've got to imagine it's the whole no smoke without fire type scenario there if two managers are backed him. I could understand if he'd fell out with Ange and suddenly he gets a reprieve under Brendan. That's not even happened. So to me, it's like, yeah, it's a busted flush, that one.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much else to say about it. I mean, it just comments that came up today that made me kind of laugh. That was a bit like, no, there was a lot there was a lot of potential there for him to, to make a claim for it. But I just wonder if it's not really anything to do with ability and maybe to do with attitude. That's maybe because surely a better keeper than Scott Payne, surely. But hey,
yes, yes.
there you go. Okay, Regan, this is a player that you would like to talk about. Still sticking with goalkeepers. Yeah, I believe you would have been on the bench today playing for Turkey. Is it Bayender? Is that how you pronounce his name?
Celtic's new goalie. Aye.
Been practicing my Turkish since my Italian is terrible. Quickly before we move on to this, Connor had the cheek to ask me if any of the Georgian players would be any use at Celtic. And I don't even dare ask me to try and pronounce their names. I hope we're not linked with a single player that plays for that team, because it's literally like somebody's picked up their keyboard and launched it at a wall, and that's like how they've spelled their name. So I'm not even going to attempt it.
Carriage-Kelia, the Napoli one.
I would choke him on saliva trying to pronounce the name and die in front of you on camera. Apparently, Regan, sources have said that we've signed this boy. I doubt that until I see him holding a Celtic scarf above his head. I doubt that he's actually signed. But if it's true, a 26-year-old Turkish international goalkeeper that was at Fenerbahce, sitting on the bench at Man United as a third choice keeper.
Yep.
Would you seem quite satisfied with that name?
I'm quite satisfied with that, because I know people talk about, he's sitting on the bench, Man U fans were not too happy with him. Somebody said the other day, David, Man U fans weren't happy with Jack Butland last year, and Jack Butland came up here and did very well sitting on the bench. So I just feel like in general when football fans when they enamored with Joe Hart, people were saying that Joe Hart wasn't a great goalkeeper, that he wasn't strong enough. People were saying that Vickers wasn't a great defender. Those guys are here and they're doing very well. So I think what does this Turkish guy very well as well as that he's 26 years of age. I mean, we spoke on here last week about Dubravka, and you guys weren't happy, and I was having him. But the more I think about it, David, I think this just makes more sense. 26 years of age, he's got experience of international football. He's still got loads of development. Everybody talks about Steve Woods being a brilliant coach at Celtic. He's coached some of the best Celtic players of the past times, of Fraser Foster, Joe Hart, Arthur Boric. So these are all guys that he's managed to make a really good keeper. Also, he coached Craig Gordon when people thought Craig Gordon was finished under Ronnie Dyler. So I think this makes perfect sense. I don't understand the criticism, because what's the Turkish boy supposed to do? He got an opportunity to sit on Manchester United's bench. Is he going to knock that back? Of course he's not going to knock that back.
No, you're absolutely right. You're bang on, Regan. You make a great argument for the boy, and I think if we're all being honest, if you know that much about him and have watched him when he was at Fenerbahce, you're probably lying. I don't think you've been. I mean, I hadn't heard of him until a couple of weeks ago. David Kelly, I'm going to bring you up here again, mate. My dad made this point in the group chat as well. A keeper that can't get a sniff over that absolute donkey, Onana, isn't screaming quality to me, but if the manager wants him, get it done. The thing with Onana is, I mean, what's that fraud's name? Ten Hag.
Ten Hag, yep.
He had him at Ajax, and they also had a good season at Inter Milan. It's a bit of an adjustment period for him. I think a certain David De Gea didn't look the part when he in his first season for Man United, coming from Atletico. So I think we'll cut him a bit of slack, and maybe he'll probably improve it. That boy was never been signed to take Onana's shirt at any point. He was literally there to fill a seat on the bench, because obviously Jack Butland came to Rangers, and the think Dean Henderson went to Crystal
Palace. Yep.
So they needed somebody. They needed a decent enough goalkeeper that had a bit of pedigree. Like Regan's pointed out, 26-year-old Turkish international, had a decent enough season at Fenerbahce. He will do. But I mean, like I said, like if the man, you've said at the end of your comment here, David, if the manager wants some, which we will just assume for sake of discussion that he does, then we'll back the manager if that's who he wants. Phil, I mean, like you said, I doubt you probably know that much about him either. But from what Regan has said, I think he's given a fairly good argument to be quite satisfied if he does come in.
Definitely fits the profile, and the whole age thing, the age factor is quite good. So, I know goalkeepers do play for a lot longer, but that's a good age to be in. And he's got to be decent enough, you'd imagine, to be our number one keeper. We've shopped in that market before for guys that were second and third choice goalkeepers at Premier League clubs. Fraser Foster comes to mind. Joe Hart wasn't doing much, but a spanner in the works, the curveball that came out of nowhere last week. Regan was right to point out about Dubravka. We weren't having it. I watched him last night for Slovakia, and don't get me wrong, Belgium did have some quite dubious VAR calls against them, the handball one in particular. But he did his part, and Slovakia kept that clean sheet and got the win against Belgium. Regardless of how much I think Belgium are a bit washed nowadays, and I think they're kind of on the decline, but it's still a big result for them, and it does make me now think I've got a different perspective on it when I'm like, maybe 2 or 3 years out of Dubravka as well, maybe, and then just change it, because the goalkeeper, it might be handy to have a real experienced head at the back, the way that
last week.
Yeah. So now it's like maybe it would work. So again, it's definitely a curveball that's came in nowhere, because I say a week ago I was kind of like, I don't want to go through the whole process of changing the goalkeeper every couple of years. But now when I think about it, I'm like, maybe. So it's a position where guys can play longer. So
I think it's funny you say that, Phil, because what you said there of I don't want to keep changing the goalkeeper every 2 years. Well, I think if we sign a young 26-year-old Turkish international and he plays a blinder for 2 years, he's probably away and we'll be looking for a goalkeeper in 2 years anyway. So so maybe that's just the hand that we could be dealt. I've got Dubravka's stats in front of me from the game against Belgium. He made 5 saves, 2 clearances, and long passes completed, 12, which highlights Ian McIntosh's comment here. He's not so good with the ball at his feet, but I mean, 12 long passes completed.
But if he completed those passes, then he must be all right with his feet then, because that's quite a lot. That's a high number.
That's what I'm saying. It highlights it brings it up there with Ian, because I mean it kind of conflicts what Ian, and I'm guessing Ian has obviously watched Dubravka at Newcastle this season. I can't say I have, and I've only gone by just what I had in front of me last week that kind of put me off the idea. But like I said, if we do end up signing a young up and coming goalkeeper that has a blinder for 2 years, we're probably not keeping hold on him anyway. So
I suppose with the ball at the feet thing, there is a way that could be divided up, because obviously there's a short pass and long pass. I mean, a long pass up the park, it could be just he's punted up the park. The players up front have managed to get to it, so that goes out as a completed pass. Maybe short passing, playing it out for the back, try to move it quickly. Maybe he does struggle with that, so maybe that's what that comment relates more to. But because we don't tend to go long, you don't see it happen too often. And in fact, most managers nowadays, it's all about playing out the short game from the back line instead of just hoofing it up the park. But for what you said there, completing 12 long passes is quite good. If we do want to go long, if Dubravka was our goalkeeper.
It just concerns me that we have known that Joe Hart was leaving at the end of the season, and we still are being linked with every goalkeeper that out there. I mean, it is quite concerning that as far as we know, there isn't a goalkeeper in place yet. Regan.
I'm going to play devil's advocate and say that someone's already signed, because I just feel like every transfer is probably going to come out after the European Championships. I don't think that many players have won that distraction at the moment. It's a bit like the Celtic announcing that they've got a brand new strip. You know, the strip's already been done in, I don't know, April time, but everybody sees it in June. I think there's probably a few agreements all rooted in place. David, you know.
I mean, I do agree with you, but I'm going to just play devil's advocate as well. I mean, I don't have the list in front of me, but how many players currently playing at the Euros are Celtic being linked with? So far, I can name Dubrovka, the Turkish lad, and the Austrian boy. Is there anyone else I've missed right now? Obviously, McKenna at Scotland.
Yes.
Put him in. So 4. 2 of which we're only signing 1 if they are perhaps out of the goalkeeping situation. I mean, how many other clubs are going to be sitting there and waiting to find out if players are going to be still playing in the Euros to get deals done? Like, I know it makes it more difficult.
I don't believe that every player that Celtic team will be at the Euros, but I do think that the goalkeeper is going to be at the Euros, David.
No, yeah, but that's what the point I'm making is, like, why should that, like, it's not like there's a whole list of players and they're all playing at the Euros, so there's surely some players that are being looked at that maybe we can start getting deals. And surely isn't that what agents are for? Like,
yeah, I think nobody's thinking that deals are not being done halfway through a season as well, where people talk up people and they negotiate. That obviously goes on, but I just feel that you don't usually see many deals being done at this point. Anyway.
Yep, it's a fair comment, mate. Right, we're getting to the 47 minute mark, so we'll quickly move on. So only have 1 or 2 more topics to get through before you can all sit down and watch Portugal versus Czech Republic.
Czech, as indeed.
That should be a good game.
Say that again, Ian?
I said that should be a very good game, actually. Czech Republic are a good team.
Aye,
they are a good team. Yeah, they are a good team, and obviously Portugal will be dark horses. I think they've got a great chance of going the whole way. Ipswich, Fulham, and West Ham are apparently keen on Cameron Carter-Vickers. Now I don't know this news source. Is it just HITC? Does that stand for something, or is that just how they?
I can't remember what it stands for, but I've seen their website and their YouTube channel, but I can't remember what the letters stand for.
I don't know how credible they are. I don't know how credible they are, but this is their article. So HITC understands that the newly promoted Ipswich Town are amongst the clubs eager on Cameron Carter-Vickers. I mean, come off it. As they look to back boss Kieran McKenna on the transfer market now. We were linked with only a couple of years ago. Ipswich will have one of the smaller budgets in the Premier League, but HITC is told that they will be backing McKenna to make some key signings, and one of those is set to be the central defence. And obviously it's Cameron Carter-Vickers that are under consideration, but Ipswich are not alone. As we understand, there is interest from both Fulham and West Ham. Both clubs are in the market to bolster their central defensive options. And the 26-year-old Cameron Carter-Vickers is someone that is at the top of their lists. I mean, can't see Cameron Carter-Vickers wanting to go play for Ipswich Town, despite it being a newly promoted Premier League team. Fulham and West Ham, I mean, London-based clubs, much bigger club than at a higher level than in terms of like playing for Ipswich Town. Do I see the move happening? I don't see it personally. I think Brendan will be making sure that Cameron Carter-Vickers is here, and I think Cameron Carter-Vickers just enjoys his football at Celtic. Yeah. He doesn't seem to be looking to move away. He's been linked since he got here, and nothing's ever really materialised, has it?
Yeah, I think he's been a guy that's not really had a home for many years, been loaned out constantly. I think he's now settled. I think he appreciates that. I remember Scott Sinclair saying something years ago after quite a rocky time in his career, transferring around a few times, and then when he had his first season at Celtic, and he won the Celtic Player of the Year that year, and he said something in his speech about, I finally found my home here. And I think with Carter-Vickers, although his career had been, I didn't have seen amount of loan moves before he even joined us. So he's finally got settled in his career. Do I rule it out happening? I don't rule out anything happening. I mean, this time last year when that story about Jota came up, I was just like, nah, that won't happen. And it did. Money talks at the end of the day, and these teams do have money. I know Ipswich have just came up, but again, they've got that financial injection from being in the Premier League, so I don't rule out anything. Fulham and West Ham, established Premier League clubs, you say London-based as well. So at the moment, I mean, that would concern me massively if he did leave, because he is so vital. We saw it when he came back into the team last season. We were going through a real rocky patch in the sort of second act of the season. But when he came back along with Hatate near the sort of like the third act of the season, essentially, we seem to pick up our form. So that one would concern me. I agree with you. I don't think he will go. But at the same time, there is still a wee bit of me that goes, still can't rule it out, because you just don't know at the end of the day. If these teams flex their muscle and can wow them in some way, then you just need to hope it's not the 11th hour at the last day of the transfer window, or else we're in really big trouble if that happens.
Yeah, I would be concerned. Like, we both know how much money the Fulham owners have, Phil. So money's no object to these guys. Like, if they NFL, as well as other promotions. I'm not going to mention them here. Budget marks. Yeah. So I mean, I don't see. Like I said, Regan, I can't see it. I mean, the only other thing they said that I suppose the biggest drop, apart from the fact it's the Premier League, is Cameron Carter-Vickers spent a lot of his time in London, obviously at Tottenham. He might want to head back down there. He might have enjoyed living in London for all we know. I don't know, but I mean, again, that's pure speculation on my part. I'm not overly worried, though. I'm not overly worried.
I think Vickers just wants a proper partner the way he did with Starfield. I know people slag Starfield, but now they probably look back and go, Starfield was a very good player for Celtic, and probably the only reason that he left Celtic was because his partner plays over in Portugal right now. So I think in terms of that, I think Vickers will stay, because I think Brendan Rodgers sees him as a mainstay in the team. And like Phil says, I've never been a football player for obvious reasons, but I mean, see, when you're happy somewhere, it's not something that you would contemplate choosing to leave, because I just feel like he's probably been through so many down points in his time, and now that he's got these 2 or 3 titles with Celtic, and he knows that he's loved by the supporters, even though he's not got a song about him, or he's not a big fashionable player. He knows his place in Celtic. He knows that he's a valuable asset to the squad.
Smelly Glove comes in and says Cameron Carter-Vickers ain't played much Champions League due to injury, so hopefully he stays and wants that. And I mean, that's the biggest carrot that we can offer, obviously, as well as constantly winning trophies. But it's the Champions League football. West Ham, I think, did they get European football again this year? I don't think they did.
No, they finished ninth.
No, and then Fulham, they can't offer it either. So, like, it's not, if it's for footballing reasons in terms of winning trophies and playing at the highest level, he's not going to go anywhere. And if it's personal reasons in terms of just he's found a home here, like Phil says, which I think he has. I mean, he's been around the block. I feel like, I can't believe he's only 26. I feel like he's been around forever. Yeah. And because he's been farmed out on loan so much from Tottenham over the years. Right, just to finish off, we've got 5 minutes to let you go. A wee bit of fun. Celtic social media had lots of fun getting some free publicity thanks to former UFC fighter and current wrestler, WWE wrestler CM Punk, who was over in Glasgow for the main event at the Hydro. And he and this is for those who don't know, this guy wasn't paid by Celtic to wear the Celtic tracksuit. These guys are independent contractors that work for WWE. They have to buy their own clothes, their own gear to wear on the telly, and he chose to go to Celtic Celtic store and buy the tracksuit and the football top and wear it for publicities. Obviously, for those that watch WWE and know who in wrestling, they know Drew McIntyre is a big Rangers fan. Rangers milked it. Seriously,
Yeah, they really did. Aye.
They milked him having at Ibrox and giving him shirts and all this kind of stuff. So
they couldn't stop tweeting about it, man. It was
constant. So CM Punk went and got a Celtic shirt because he's meant to be in a scripted argument with Drew.
Aye.
And Celtic jumped on it, and there was a bit of mixed reaction. Obviously, people that aren't into it are just going, "Who's this guy? Why are they bothering?" But he's a massive guy in pop culture, and it's a free hit for Celtic to get publicity of getting a guy of his celebrity status wearing the hoops or wearing the Celtic badge. So fair play to them on doing it. So the wee that brought up a little quiz that I have for once, Phil.
Oh, okay.
That we've had. There's many celebrities. There's many celebrities that have been pictured wearing the hoops over the years. That's some more unlikely celebrities than others. So I've got a few names here. I want you to hit some names at me, and I'll tell you if I've got them on my list. Now, like I said, Gerard Butler and Rod Stewart, they don't count. We all know in that Compton, we all know they're Celtic fans. I'm talking about pop culture guys that
like this
celebrity status. So, has anybody got any?
I know that Snoop Dogg's definitely been pictured wearing a Celtic shirt. I know that.
That's one. I've got that on my list. Regan.
Susan Boyle.
Susan Boyle was a Celtic fan. That's correct.
Right. I don't have it on my list, Regan, but I'll believe you.
Definitely.
Yep. We had the halftime windfall draw one time. Also, I feel like Jay-Z has been pictured with a Celtic shirt on as well.
He might. I think you're right. Actually, I don't have him on my list, but he might have. But there's a couple other rappers here.
Oh, okay. Oh no, wait, no, there is a picture out there, and it's not him wearing it, but there is a picture of Tupac Shakur from like 1994, and there's a guy behind him that's got a Celtic shirt on, and it's a mid-90s one with the big, massive green hoops on it, with like the Umbro through the Umbro symbols through the green. But it's not him that's wearing it; it's the guy that's standing next to him. And it's so random that it's like, how did that come about? So yeah, that's definitely well, kind of one. That's a half point.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Regan, you're reading the comments. You better not be reading the comments now.
No.
I'll give you. So I've still got two rappers now. There's a reggae artist that was wearing one.
Oh, Bob Marley.
Bob Marley
wore one. A Marvel superstar actor.
Oh,
he was in the Marvel films.
Oh, Jesus.
He's pictured wearing the hoops.
Marvel, God, let me find. So is it the Avengers? Obviously, one of the Avengers.
Yes.
Oh, it's Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, Tony Stark.
Yes, and another big celebrity, a big actor, has also been pictured wearing the hoops.
Okay.
You see?
You
say what? One more goddamn time.
James Cosmo.
Yeah, well, I mean, he might be. I don't have him on my list though.
Oh, come on, David. He's big.
He is big, but he's not on my list again, right? another Pulp Fiction.
Samuel Jackson.
And the other ones I've got on my list here, just because we'll wrap this up because the game's about to start. Macklemore, another rapper, and Coolio was the other.
Coolio. Oh, he did the halftime windfall draw. So he did. So he did.
There you go. Look how rated balls to the wall is with you guys. Fucking Coolio, for fuck's sake.
Hey, I did all that. Snoop Dogg and Jay-Z. I got with them. Come on.
They aren't on my list though.
Gangster's Paradise. Remember
Gangster's Paradise.
Aye.
Yes. Well, that was
very
just
good.
A wee bit of fun to end. It's not as good a quiz as your one.
Sudden Death.
That's Sudden Death.
Congratulations to John on winning the second season of Sudden Death, by the way. I never got a proper chance to congratulate him because I just kind of fizzled out. But he'd won it by about 8 points with about a month to go in the season. He was miles ahead, but yeah, Jonathan, 2 in a row. Well done.
Alex, quickly, Regan. Who's Alex talking about? I know who he's talking about. You surely know who he's talking about here. You forgot the famous MMA fan.
Mixed martial arts.
Chris. Blungard.
I was Conor McGregor. I think it was McGregor he's talking about there. Right. Thanks everyone for joining us this Tuesday ticket. Phil, I imagine there will be a post-match push tomorrow.
That's the plan. There's 2 shows on tomorrow. 2. There's an Under the Bonnet episode early evening, I believe, and then yes, there's a plan for us post-match push. So hopefully Scotland give us a much better performance to talk about after that game. So that's planned for tomorrow. So 2 shows, I believe, for tomorrow night. But hit that subscribe button, you'll be notified when they're on.
That's it. So make sure you hit that bell notification button and go enjoy the Portugal game. And we'll see you tomorrow. And we'll obviously Tuesday will be on next week. So see you then.
Right, catch you later, guys.